I want to talk about Muzzy, but I feel like a lot of you are going to be really mad at me. So, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the introduction of Muzzy, Bronwyn's mother, who was not very kind to Bronwyn when she got pregnant at 19 with her daughter Gwen, and she is now living with Bronwyn and Todd in their house. She is sick and Bronwyn's dad is sick. So there's like a lot of family stuff going on. In last week's episode, we then saw Bronwyn take on Muzzy herself. It's funny because I had just written about bad moms in fiction on Substack, which I will make a separate post about, but this was kind of crazy. I fully acknowledge that the way that Muzzy treats Bronwyn is bad, right? In this week's episode, we get the psychic saying that you have to like release this idea of like pleasing your mom because she's already happy for you, which I don't believe, but you also have to like release this idea of like the perfect relationship with your mom because like it's just never gonna happen, which is something that many people never ever learn, and like I don't think that Bronwyn is like there yet. My Muzzy take, and this is where I'm like, you guys can beat me up. I've been off Reddit for a full month today, right? So I am free from the shackles of that very, very sanctimonious place. But on Reddit, everyone feels like they're the best mother in the world and the best person in the world, and they never ever make any mistakes. And I'm like, that's not real. I come from a shame-based culture, right? Like I'm Dominican, I come from the Caribbean, and I'm also Catholic, so that's like double shame. So I'm not like entirely surprised by the way that Bronwyn treats Muzzy, or Muzzy treats Bronwyn, right? Like I'm not defending her. I think Muzzy is mean, and I think she's withholding, and I think she's cold. And I wrote about this a couple of months ago where I'm like, I get the withholding thing because I am withholding. That being said, it is interesting to me that we now live in a culture that is obsessed with victimhood and trauma, right? This idea that like something that happened to you when you were young, like fundamentally altered your life and affects your parenting and the way that you love and the way that you date and the way that you show up for your friends. But there seems to be a lack of understanding of religious trauma, because whenever I talk about Brittany, people get mad. Again, bad mom, right? People get mad and they say, well, she doesn't want to talk to her daughters. And it's like, her daughters are adults who don't want to talk to her, right? She can stop dating, but she's heavily influenced by the Mormon church, because Salt Lake City at the end of the day is about Mormonism and the Mormon church, right? And the way that it weighs down on these women. We have empathy for a lot of these women, right? We have empathy for Bronwyn, but there seems to be little empathy for Muzzy, who I don't think that any like rational person would be like thrilled about their daughter getting pregnant at 18, right? And like obviously the father wasn't involved, and I'm obviously not coming for single mothers or teen mothers or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that there seems to be a lot of empathy for Bronwyn. And like, yes, Muzzy is mean, Muzzy is evil, and Muzzy is like very, very terrible and like terrorizing her actively. But again, this idea of the Mormon church telling her she's not going to go to heaven, her Bronwyn's not going to heaven, Gwen isn't going to heaven, the family is now filled with sin, right? If your brain is warped from all this stuff, it is very easy to understand why someone wouldn't be like thrilled and like buying baby clothes at Old Navy. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not defending Muzzy at all because I know how this app is. You guys are going to twist everything that I'm saying. I'm not saying that Muzzy is right. What I'm saying is there's no like logical or intellectual understanding, because there seems to be, again, this idea of like the performance of being the best person and the best mother all of the time, where even with Brittany or with other housewives on other franchises, people are like, well, I wouldn't do that, I'm a good mom. And I'm like, okay, let's ask your kids, right? Like this idea that every single person on the internet is perfect 100% of the time is crazy to me. I do not feel bad for Muzzy, and I'm not defending Muzzy. I think that like treating her pregnant daughters differently is bad. All I am saying is that I can understand why, if you are raised in a shame-based culture, you wouldn't necessarily be like happy, right? And people keep saying, well, she married Todd, like she's rich now, who cares? And it's like, I think there is a certain level of parental grief that happens where it's like she wanted her daughter to like get married in the Mormon church and like not have a baby at 18 and like do stuff, other stuff with her life, right? Like the fact that she is now married doesn't necessarily negate all of the stuff that already happened. That being said, I do think it's interesting that she is sort of recreating this relationship that she has with her mother, where she's constantly performing for the approval and for the attention of other people, and is now doing it with her husband, right? She married an older man who scolds her and wields his money as a weapon to terrorize her, and she doesn't necessarily make that intellectual connection that it's like, why did you recreate this relationship where you're always going to be like reaching and yearning for the love of this person who's like not going to give it to you, right? Todd is withholding, just like her mother. Again, not defending Muzzy, not on Muzzy's side. All I'm saying is that there seems to be this intellectual exercise where everyone pretends to not understand why someone, a mother, wouldn't be like over the moon that her daughter had a kid very, very, very young. And like, especially in the Mormon church and especially in the culture that they were raised in, I understand why she is the way she is. I do not empathize and I do not stand with her. I intellectually am like, yeah, that makes sense that her mom is fucking mean and evil, because like, yeah.